And this is something she's been dreaming about for a long time, so we're just thrilled that you're all here and excited about seeing it. For whom is it your first time at the Capitol Hill Arts Workshop? Yay! Welcome! Super duper. So we have a partnership with the Capitol Hill Arts Workshop. We are the resident theater company here. We're very grateful for that title. They are great. Like us, they believe that the arts are for everyone and that they should be distributed freely and evenly to everyone. They have a lot of classes for adults, for children, for tiny, sometimes they're just tiny kids rolling around listening to music upstairs. It's wonderful. So please check them out. You can go to CHAW.org and see what they're doing. Like us, they're always raising money because the nonprofit world is very difficult. So if you will have some money you want to contribute to them, please do. There are buckets all in the hallway for that end. Speaking of buckets, what's going on here? So one of our reasons we exist is we want to make sure everyone can afford to see the theater. And sometimes people come up to me and they say, man, your work is awesome. You guys should totally charge more. It's worth it. And I say, that's not why we exist. We exist so that people like, my cousins who stay in their cars all day fixing engines and stuff can afford to come see plays. So we will never stop you from paying more. If you want to, you can, right? And that's what this will be here. So at the end of the show, if you want to contribute a little bit more, this is on the floor for you. And if you don't, we're just really, really happy you came. One big thing about the rules of the house here, when you go outside, you're going to be wicked excited. You might go a little crazy. You might want to jump and shout and sing and dance and whatever. And don't do that right outside. There are neighbors, some of them are asleep. So go to 8th Street where the bars are and then party it up out there. That's a good idea.
And tell them you were here.
And tell them you were here. Seeing everybody here. Okay, good. And I know I always talk too long. There's another exciting thing I have to tell you. While we were preparing this show, we decided that another thing we missed about punk rock was sharing work with other groups and seeing multiple bands in one night. So we thought it would be awesome to have opening acts. And that's worked out really well. We've met some new people. We've invited some old friends back. Tonight, the show will open with a new piece, a brand new piece. I think you were the first humans to see it, by Stephen Clapp of Dance Block Theater. We welcome Stephen. He's waiting in the wings right now. We're very excited about Stephen's work.
Yay!
Yeah, that's right. Have been separated for too long, so we're hoping this is the beginning of bringing those worlds together. Please look up, there's information about this company in the program. They're danceboxtheater.org, I believe. They're great, and we're really excited they're here. Okay, enough from me. Thank you all so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Stephen Clapp! Yay!
4 million years ago, average global temperatures were 10 degrees higher. The Arctic was ice-free, jungles covered northern Canada, sea levels were 40 meters up. Florida was underwater, as were New York City, London, Hong Kong, Sydney, New Orleans, Washington, D.C. There were many, many others. 4 million years ago, there were no theaters. There were no schools, no corporations, no billionaires, no middle class, no cars, no factories, no Wall Street, no Occupy. 4 million years ago, humans didn't even exist. Well, how could we? Carbon levels were in excess of 400 parts per million. That was the last time that carbon concentrations here on Earth were as high as they are today. But just last year, as we crossed that carbon concentration threshold yet again, it fueled some fears that we are fast approaching converging tipping points. human proliferation of carbon in the atmosphere, along with melting of the subarctic tundra, the thawing of which is releasing vast amounts of methane gas at exponentially increasing rates, day after day after day. But those are just some of the issues that are accelerating global warming beyond any human capacity to stop it. It feels like an inevitable march towards disaster. Sleepwalking to extinction, so it has been said. But why can't we just stop? Why can't we just slam on the brakes of mass production, end the burning of fossil fuels, and cease pollution of the natural world? Because if we don't, we might just drive right off that cliff towards total ecological collapse. But were they correct? Those college-educated, jobless hipster activists of Occupy, with their decentralized and radically democratic practices, when they most recently brought into public awareness a notion that while capitalism and democracy may be separate ideologies, it is indeed capitalism and climate change that are intrinsically connected. The wiki definition of capitalism states that capitalism is an economic system in which trade, industry, and the means of production are controlled by private owners with the goal of making profit. As we are all engaged in capitalism, what about those corporations that control our financial landscape? The corporations that dictate trade and industry for profit. Are they to blame for our rising carbon levels and our increasing temperatures? We just love to demonize corporations for their unwavering pursuit of wealth and growth and power. But are they not just following their own genetic orders? Is not that what we've intended these corporations to do? Generally speaking, they just can't help themselves. They're beholden only to their shareholders. And their goal is simply to make more money. We should know by now that these corporations, they can't change. At least, not very much. At least, not enough. As we enter a critical moment for the fates of our planet, there's a dangerous game of alternate science being paid for and put to use by some of these corporations in order to sway public policy, opinion, and profit. But is another world really even possible? Is it true that we must somehow dismantle and overthrow an entire global economic system? Could we even replace a profit-driven economy with a truly democratic, green-oriented, ground-up political reorganization on a global scale? Or are we destined to bring catastrophe down upon us? How many more forests must come down? How many more species must we lose? How high do the seas have to grow? How many more lives must we endure before we are all able to collectively evolve? While we are fast approaching this precipice of ecological disaster, the means to derail this train wreck have been in the making, as we've been witness to mass, global, democratic awakening such that the world has never known. From Tahrir Square to Zuccotti Park, from Athens to Istanbul, from Beijing to McPherson Square. But these awakenings are still in their infantile stages. They're stuck, still protesting what's wrong instead of fighting for an alternative social order. And yet, a global, subversive dialogue has already begun. It's quite possible that an alternative social order is just around the corner. However, these movements have yet to answer that critical question. If not capitalism, what is the alternative? But these movements are radically and instinctively democratic in their nature, and perhaps it is in this radical and instinctively democratic nature wherein lies our hope. But these movements are radically and instinctively democratic in their nature, and perhaps it is in this radical and instinctively democratic nature wherein lies our hope.